Welcome to the Inside NIST Podcast. My name is Tun. I'm in year 12 and I will be your host for this series. So this podcast is about connection and understanding. I myself, I've been at NIST for the past 13 and a half years, and I've had the opportunity to see the school grow and be shaped into a place that feels like home. And for me, it's not just the learning inside the classroom that makes it special. It's the relationships, the care, and most importantly, the sense of belonging that truly elevates it. And I can't wait to share it with you all today. So throughout this series, you'll hear from our board, school leaders, teachers, students, and even parents, each sharing what NIST means to them. And we hope this will give you a better insight into how NIST is shaped by its community. So today, I am delighted to be joined by two very special guests who play a key role in facilitating our students' learning journey on a regular basis. So firstly, we have our elementary principal, Mrs Kimberly Conlin, who leads the early and primary years by prioritizing curiosity, well-being, and joyous learning.
Hello.
And joining her is our secondary principal, Dr Angelo Coskinas, who guides our older students through the challenges and also possibilities of adolescence, not just focusing on academic success, but also helping them tackle and prepare for life beyond NIST.
Hi.
So together, they represent the full learning journey at NIST, from early years all the way to graduation, and today we'll be hearing their stories, their perspectives, and hopes for our students. So thank you both for joining me today.
Pleasure.
You're very welcome.
So let's start at the beginning. Can each of you share one moment that made you fall in love with education?
Kim, you want to go?
So many moments. It's hard to pick just one. I might actually approach it from an educator standpoint. I mean, I've always loved learning. I think even from a young age, I've really, really enjoyed the process of learning. I can't always say that translated into my school experience. So for me, a really kind of memorable moment, I was a young adult and I was living in Japan, and I sort of learned about international schools, and I learned about sort of a new way of education. And I just remember thinking, as I think many people probably do, if only I could learn like this when I was in school or when I was young. So, I mean, I've learned that it is the IB education model that I was introduced to quite young in my career, and that's actually what got me interested in being an educator and going into teaching.
I see.
I'm also going to come back to my youth. I think what struck me, I was in the national system when I was growing up, and what really was disconcerting was the antipathy that a lot of times you encountered in the classroom rather than a passion or compassion for the students. And so growing up in a school where the teachers were somewhat indifferent or ambivalent to how you succeeded, if you succeeded, made me wish that there was a different way to do things. And I think that sparked my passion, ironically, and it brought about a love of wanting to make a difference. So that's what brought me into the educational sphere.
Right. So it's this need to sort of make a change and make an improvement in the education system that you've been through, basically.
Correct.
I see. All right. Perfect. So I guess moving on, Dr. Angelo, what brought you to NIST and what made you want to stay?
Okay, what brought me to NIST was I'd had many schools prior to NIST itself, but it was time to come back. I was in Europe at the time, and I just felt it was too far away from where my family was in Australia. And NIST, fortunately, at the time was also looking for a principal. So we matched up really well, and a couple of key factors were the driving force of wanting to work here. One, it's a non-profit school. Two, it has really strong values and belief system, and those two resonated with me quite considerably. Part of that, and why I stayed on, is I think there's a real commitment to students and a real commitment to improvement. I love this humility, that it doesn't take for granted its status. It actually works hard at it, and I'm blessed enough to work with a lot of exceptional people. And we're talking about parents, students, faculty, the board, all working together to create NIST as it keeps moving forward. So I think that's kept me here, because it's continuous projects of improvement. And while there's a place for me here, I love working here.
Yeah, and I think that's reflected really well on the students as well. Like I have lots of my friends who really love it here. New students, they say it's such a welcoming community and such a friendly community. And I think that's a big factor for a lot of my friends as well.
Agreed.
Yeah, so now switching gears a bit, Miss Kim, what's something fun or surprising about you that we might not expect?
Oh, geez, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a difficult question to answer. You know, like most people, I think, well, my life is pretty ordinary, actually. And so trying to think what might be something about me that others would not know. Well, when I grew up, I was quite sporty. I was quite athletic. And so there are a few sports that I played that are sort of non-traditional sports that maybe, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a sport called ringette. So in Canada,
No, I
being
don't think
from
so.
Canada, back to my Canadian roots, ice hockey is a really, really big sport
Yes.
in Canada. And when I was growing up, there weren't any women's hockey leagues. And so you either had to play with the men or play with the boys or take part in a sport that was sort of similar. So there's this sport called ringette. It still does exist today. It's not as popular now that women's hockey has really taken off. But I don't know what you know about ice hockey, but it's very similar. You wear the same equipment. The stick doesn't have a blade. It sort of has a pointy end to it, and you have a rubber ring. But it's played in very much a similar way. It's a really fast-paced game. I found out recently that it's more skillful than ice hockey. Don't tell hockey players I said that. But yeah, I played for the provincial team at the provincial level, sort of going into my into university years. Yeah, so that's a little known fact about me and my athletic past.
What about you, Dr. Angelo? Do you have any hidden hobbies, talents that we might not expect?
Ooh.
Talents, probably not. Certainly I got a lot of hobbies. I guess I played a lot of sport also when I was growing up, which was a natural part being an Australian. And I think just maintaining that and the balance, but nothing exceptional. Just a hack who did as many as he could, but I really enjoyed them.
Did you play field hockey?
No, I didn't play rugby league.
Because when I lived in Australia, every time I said hockey, everyone assumed it was field hockey.
Right, yeah.
I
No,
see.
ice hockey.
Yeah, I have a friend who plays ice hockey. It's a pretty intense sport.
It is. Try ringette.
Maybe I'll look into it. I'll look into it. So I guess moving on a bit more, how do you both build a school environment where students, they feel known, valued, and most importantly, cared for?
I think one of the key factors is that knowing it's a school, knowing it's a nurturing environment, it's very important to stay connected with the students. So one of the key factors I always try to keep in mind, although we're a mid-sized school, I try to bring a small school mentality to it. So where you're connecting and seeing people and genuinely having conversations where you're finding out what are their needs and what are their wants, and trying to reconcile that and make in a place that actually encompasses those areas. So, we're talking about physical, social, and emotional spaces that allows everyone to feel that there's a place for them to belong.
Right.
And so for me, that's always been a core component, as you know.
Yeah. So it's a holistic thing. It's not just one aspect that drives beyond the other.
Yeah.
And just building on that, I mean, relationships, right? Relationships is everything. So as a fairly large international school, just making sure it's not a one-person thing. It's definitely a community. So with our staff and our teachers, really getting to know one another, but getting to know students. I know in elementary, we start every day with a morning meeting, and that's a really important time for that sense of belonging. So I think everything comes back to relationships. Yeah.
Agreed. And you would know Tun as well. He's a Stuco chairperson and a wonderful member, but you and I meet with the team and we talk about what is it that I should be aware of that I can keep developing within the school. So having the student voice, especially as part of the leadership, my leadership team, is integral.
Yeah.
And I think, again, we could talk about this forever, but looking at it as a whole philosophy, it doesn't happen by accident either, right? And so we have some, in the elementary school, some philosophies around positive discipline, around responsive classrooms, where as a team, we're continuing to look at how we're fostering relationships and that sense of belonging so that it's quite consistent across the school as well.
Yeah, and that definitely scaffolds. I mean, I've made beautiful and wonderful connections since elementary. I mean, since EY, actually early years elementaries, and I'm still keeping them strong to this day. And
that can't be taken for granted, right?
Definitely.
It's not every community that fosters that.
For sure. And I think it's a very integral part of learning as well. Like whenever I'm stressed, I need someone to talk to. I know I have my friends, my teachers who really care for me and are there to support me always.
That's great.
So
Yeah.
I think I agree, very, very important. Now, what is one thing you wish your parents understood about how learning looks today, both in elementary and secondary?
I guess to be quite honest, I think our parents have a really good understanding about the educational process. And I think that's hence why they've put him into NIST in the first place. So I don't think there's a disconnect. I know that they appreciate that the world is changing. And part of our process to support them in the understanding of how the world is changing and how education needs to change accordingly. But I don't think the fundamentals necessarily have changed. And I think while we keep those in place and then tweak some of the pedagogy that actually will allow students to move away probably from a more academic-based, knowledge-based understanding of the world to a more competencies or attributes or skills-based component, I think the parents have moved with us. And I think they're very supportive of us, not only preparing our students within NIST itself, but more critically beyond NIST when those days come. So I tend at the moment, I think our parents have a really good reading of what's taking place within the school, to be honest.
Yeah, no, agreed. And one thing that's happened with schools, especially schools like NIST, is the process of learning and how the school is supporting that. It's coming closer together.
Yeah.
And so really valuing the process of learning. And I mean, from a young learner's perspective, I guess one important thing for parents to keep in mind is that learning is messy. And learning is fragile. Like if you actually look at the process of learning something new, and if we take it outside of school, something like learning how to dance, you're not going to get on the dance floor and do it really well at first, right? So when I meet with parents, I often say, remember that it's not supposed to look perfect right from the beginning, right? You're not supposed to know how to spell or how to write with spaces between your words or whatever it might be. There's a period of approximation before we actually learn a skill. And so, again, I think that's really well understood by the parents at NIST, but it's just important to keep reminding ourselves of that, is that learning is messy. And mistakes are important, right? An important part of it.
Definitely. And I think bridging that gap between the understanding of the parents and the students and also all the teachers and the work that's being done in school is really important. Keeping everyone connected, informed. Yes. All right. Now, I guess something a bit more interesting. How do the two sections of the school work together in tandem to support a student's full journey from early years all the way up to graduation?
Did you want to start at earlier, or is it backward or forward?
Well, it's interesting because one of the key components to our educational process being our articulation process, which is looking at our 5 elements of learning and then just ensuring that there is a clear pathway all the way up to our graduation process. So I think we know what our graduate should look like, and then based upon that, work collectively and coherently together to ensure the realization of that.
And you've been through it yourself, right?
Yes.
I think that's one of the benefits of a school, being able to go to the same school, right? From your very first day, stepping your foot inside the door of the classroom right through to graduation. And not all students have the opportunity to be in a school that has that articulation. The academics, being an all-through program IB, PYP to MYP to DP, some of that naturally follows. And I know there's a lot of attention given to those transition years, like for us, year 6 into year 7.
Correct, yeah.
I know that we work quite hard at making that transition fairly seamless, although it is a transition and it is a step up. But like Angelo said, with the elements of the program, there's many unique things about NIST and the expeditions and how that looks moving throughout this school. Like Year 3 starts with a sleepover at school, right? And then year 4 goes overnight for one night, and then year 5. And so building up that resilience and those trusting relationships, I think is quite unique for a school to either backward map that or forward map that, whatever way you look at it. So that, I mean, we want everyone to be successful, right? And so really the care and attention that's been given to that, to think of how all aspects of our program build on each other is quite impressive.
Yeah. And I think being beholden to your values, mission and vision, I think is what keeps you tight. I think that's the belief system that drives everything. So when Kim and I get together and we look at it, well, how does this fit in? It's going to be different. Naturally, you'd expect it to be different elementary to secondary. But as long as a sense of cohesion and a building on what elementary's already done, we're in a good space.
Right. I see. Now, I want to actually zoom in on something you mentioned earlier about how the whole process of going through the early years all the way to graduation is really streamlined, especially for students who have joined NIST since early years. What about for new students, let's say students joining elementary or halfway through middle school, even high school? How do you both ensure that same connectivity?
Yeah, I mean, so it's still a transition, right, into a school or out of a school. And so that's something about international schools that can be quite unique, is that families travel around, and it's not just that you're changing schools. Sometimes you're changing countries, you're changing your whole environment. So it is really important that we give care and attention to that. We have some programs. Our counselors are a big part of helping students both transition into the school, but also out of the school, because it can become quite challenging to leave a place where you've had such a warm and welcoming education. I know there's a saying, once a NISTie, always a NISTie, and I think that's really cute that you can bring that forward with you. Going back to the caring nature of the teachers and the staff at school and the relationships, whether you've been here your whole educational career or whether you're joining for a short period of time, I think that those relationships can happen quite quickly and are really essential, to the sense of belonging in the school.
Let's see.
Okay, as for the transition into secondary school, it's you people, the students. We can put any advocacy we want forward, but it's the students that are our richest resource in the transition. So we have a wonderful group called Samaki, who are basically our ambassadors, transition ambassadors, who help new students assimilate into NIST and make them feel valued and make them feel as if they're going to enrich our experiences rather than just going to be enriched themselves. And so we've got all the structures in place. But the beauty about NIST is, as Kim's indicated, once a NISTie, always a NISTie. And our NISTies step up and make sure our new NISTies feel part of the NIST process. So kudos to our students who make it such a wonderful process.
Yeah.
And we have that in elementary as well. Right. The Samaki kids, I think, is what they're called.
Yeah, definitely. And having seen the orientation process, I think, new students being able to build that solid foundation with Samaki buddies, as you both said, is really instrumental towards them feeling a sense of belonging and a sense of care that they're given from this community.
Let me just give a classic example. Orientation Day. Let me flip it around. Orientation Day. Who actually runs the Orientation Day first meeting with the parents and students?
Students.
Thank you.
Yes.
And you like, because it's you talking to the new students to reassure them rather than the adults talking to them. And there's a disconnect there. So that's why it's so integral for us that our student leaders play an integral role in ensuring that there's a seamless process in reference to that.
Yes, without a doubt. I definitely agree with everything. And with that, what are you both focusing on this year to strengthen our students' well-being?
I don't think there's a one-off thing we're focusing on. I think it's always been a continual evolutionary process. Times are changing. Social media has become a more integral component of well-being, and there's a lot of positives. Let's not miss that point. But I think it's just kind of evolving our programs and our support mechanisms to make sure the information that we have in reference to well-being is timely. So we're taking the pulse of our students quite often and quite regularly in reference to how are they feeling, Where do they feel there are challenges that we need to be mindful of, that we need to put more support systems in place? And so I think it's just keeping your finger on the pulse throughout is what we're going to continue to do, and be, quite rigorous about that. And I think elementary, same. Kim? Yep.
Yeah, I mean, again, well-being, it's such an umbrella term that is really important in everything that we do. So we look at how our students view themselves as learners, which is a big part of well-being as well. And it links back to me kind of referencing the learning process is not being perfect and being messy. But I think for a specific project, looking at outdoor learning is something that we've really been focusing on in the elementary school, but I know that it's crossing over to the secondary school as well. Just to look at the outdoor environment, living in Bangkok or living in any city, inner city, it's really important that we are mindful about spending time in nature, spending time outside, especially for young children, the physical development of their bodies and having opportunities for different types of play. So we've involved the community in sort of design of outdoor spaces, learning spaces, and that's been quite exciting for me to come in as a new elementary principal to be part of the beginning of that research and design process. And then throughout the year and into next year, we'll see it come to life. So that's exciting.
Yeah. And can I just add a little bit to that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and you'll also see it, one of the key components, if you think about schools, if you look at a lot of their mission and vision statements, they've got a lot to do with academics and so forth. A key word in ours is what? John, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Preeminent?
Preeminent is one of them, but yes, a lot of schools have got that. What's a key one for us?
Ooh, being put on the spot here.
I have put you, but I'm going to save you as well, because I care about your well-being. It's flourishing. You know that?
Yes.
Okay. So that's a core component of our vision, is that our students flourish. And so we need to equip them with the necessary skills and tools to be able not only to flourish here, but when they leave us, they flourish. And so we're talking about well-being, an all-encompassing component, but beyond NIST as well. So that's a key aspect. And as Kim's mentioned, it's not just within the classroom they need to feel safe and they need to feel well, but we need to create spaces around them that allow them to flourish in that way as well. Like, we're creating a secondary school park or a playground. Yeah. So students continue, picking on Kim's point, to play. We want young people to remain young people. And so we're looking at all aspects of what encompasses well-being to make sure that we've got it right. And that's why we do these constant reviews.
Right, so you would say it's a very active and ongoing process when
without a doubt, Tom,
when looking over well-being and constantly trying to improve it. And it's not just in the classroom with teachers, it's also the environment, how they interact with each other.
And I think it's important that we don't see well-being as a separate thing, right? It's part of everything that we do. And so, yes, we might be more intentional about offering certain opportunities to our whole community, not just students. But at the same time, it's part of everything that we do.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely complements with the learning, and you can't have one thing and not the other.
Exactly.
Correct. Yeah,
well said.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Kim, you actually mentioned a project that you're currently working on. And so what's one project that either of you have been developing or that you're particularly excited about for the coming years?
I think I shared mine.
Okay.
We've got more, but go ahead.
I'm going to cheat. I'm going to pull two in. I think one of the critical one for all schools is the navigation of AI in the educational sphere and how to make it a positive influence upon young people moving forward. So AI is one of our key projects, and we're trying to see how we navigate that moving forward. So it's not something we're averting, but it's not something we're embracing to an extent that it's taking away the agency of our students.
Right.
That's the first one. And the second one is our Entrepreneur Academy. We're building an Entrepreneur Academy here, which we're going to hopefully further support our students to be the positive change makers in the future. It's an exciting project. And we should have that up and running hopefully by October in 26.
Wow. So I get to see it.
You will get to see it. I'm hoping you'll be part of it as well. Yes.
And then we have our new spaces in elementary this year that everyone is really excited about. And a particular area of the school, the innovation spaces with our learning kitchen and our science labs and our maker spaces will be a natural will be it will naturally lead into some of the projects that you've got happening in secondary.
I see. Well, I mean, that's all the questions I have for today. Do you have any final comments and thoughts that you want to address with our viewers?
I want yours. Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Okay, tell me about your journey and what is a NISTie?
For me, and this may sound really corny, but it's all about the community. It's my friends, it's my teachers, it's building those long-lasting connection, and it ultimately ties back with the once a NISTie and always a NISTie philosophy that our school adopts. And I feel like building those long-lasting connections really propels you forward, whether you're struggling in class, need a shoulder for support, or even life beyond this.
Yeah.
You can always come back to these connections, and it's a really strong foundation for moving forward.
Yeah, I agree, Tom. Well said. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, a very strong identity. I
Yes.
think everyone
For
in
sure.
this community. So.
For sure. And with that, thank you very much, Ms. Kim and Dr. Angelo, for sharing your stories, your reflections, and your vision and aspirations. It's been a real pleasure hearing from you both. And to our listeners, thank you very much for joining us today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do share this with other members in our community, and I'll see you later next time.